through everything. We're now going to go through a few practical solutions that we believe that we can use to actually try to rid ourselves out of riba, bearing in mind that our iman and our level of taqwa will determine what are we going to be doing. Practical steps. Educate ourselves on what are the rules and injunctions in the Quran and Sunnah. Truly internalize that risk comes from Allah Ta'ala. Improve our level of taqwa and our reliance on Allah. Know that we have a finite lifespan in this world. We're not going to live forever. Be not like Qarun. Qarun was a very wealthy person who attributed his wealth to his own intellect. That I know better. Be honest in our dealings and keep our focus on the akhirah. This has helped me personally, that whenever I'm faced with a decision, ask that what your decision is it good for your akhirah or is it good for your dunya? Use that as a guide. This is what I do. I try to do it all the time. But if your lens is what the akhirah, you most likely make the right decision, not the wrong decision.
So we have the akhirah lens. I like that word, akhirah lens. And you find you scan the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you'll always find this phrase. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir. Who has iman in Allah and yawmil akhir. So keep your gaze there. Is it good for me in akhirat or not? In everything, always you'll find man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir. Whose iman is in Allah and the last day. The last day there's accountability, there's justice, there's all of those things. That will guide us towards what we should be doing or what we should be staying away from.
Ask Allah through sincere dua for a way out of riba. We have to increase in our relationship with Allah. We have a direct link. We don't go through any Rabbiyani or any other one. We go direct to Allah Ta'ala. Ask Allah to get you out of it, sincerely. Do not be afraid to ask questions on what we call IFB, Islamic Financial Bank Products. Ask the question to understand it. It may be good for you, it may not be good for you, but do not be afraid to ask the question. Sometimes the terminology is very complex. We then say, oh, it's too difficult for me. I'll just sign the papers and we carry on. Please make sure you know what you are doing before you do something. Ask questions. And who knows, you may be able to help people by just asking the question. There is no question that is too simple. We are expected to ask questions as Muslims. Clarify why, until we satisfy ourselves.
On that aspect as well, and also linking it with the issue of necessity, as Mufti Taqi Sahib mentions that as far as possible we should try our level best to even stay away from the Islamic finance as well, as far as possible. Mufti Taqi Sahib himself says this here. So unless we have to go, then we look and we ask the questions and whatever.
Have a plan to gradually move away from the fiat paper money system. If what we have learned today leads us to the basis and a conclusion that this paper money is not worth what it really is, why do we keep on holding our wealth in that? Look for sources of wealth that is not linked to paper. There is nothing haram in paying rent. You may have heard this previously. The point here that is made is, if you are faced with a conventional loan in order to buy a house and to live in it, and you have to pay interest, consider that if you pay rent, you're not doing anything haram. Discuss with family members or the community or your friends, wherever your circles, to get soft loans. In other words, loans that they are given to you without charging you any increase. Make sure that the loan agreements are reduced to writing. You must have your loans recorded. Save until you can afford to purchase a home. Now these may seem idealistic, it may seem conceptual, but our degree of taqwa will allow us to either go through this or not go through this. If the home is not affordable in the area where you live, find areas that are affordable even if it is outside of the city. May Allah make it easy for us and open our way, inshallah. So we move on. There are more practical steps. Find out what it would cost to terminate your current mortgage. If we accept that mortgages are haram, find out what is it for me to terminate it. How much would I be losing? Repay the existing mortgage by selling the house if you can. Get yourself out of the system. Inshallah, you will get a good price for it in the market. Allah will rid you of the rope around your neck of riba, and you can start fresh. There is nothing haram in paying rent. Inquire from zakah organizations what they can do to help you in getting out of debt. There are many organizations that do debt relief, amongst other things that they are doing. Be aware and cautious of any product that charges you a cleansing fee. Some of you may have come across this previously. You make an investment, and by the time you take your investment out, they charge you a fee to cleanse your investment before you take the proceeds of it. Be aware. Remember, other countries, if you want to invest in a pension fund or a provident fund or retirement fund or KiwiSaver or super, it's obligatory, it's conditional. The law says you have to do it. In New Zealand, there is no such law. You can opt out. You don't have to put your money in a KiwiSaver. You can invest it and look after your own money instead of let other people looking after your money for you. What is that? You lose 4%. The risk comes from Allah, brother. I know, but then when can you get your money? Only if you take out a home loan, your first home loan. When you retire, when you're in 55. 65. But your KiwiSaver, where is it invested in?
Nowhere.
Where does your money go? Where does it go? Where do you choose to go? Who is looking after your money and where are they investing it? Have you done your research? Moving on. Keep your investments in assets that are referenced in Quran and Sunnah. You will not go wrong with this. When transacting and granting a loan, remember, these are our views. We may be wrong. We just put in our views forward. You're welcome to accept it, debate it, take what you can get out of it, inshallah. When transacting and granting a loan, here's a way in which we can do loans. Sometimes somebody wants a loan, wants $100,000. What do? We give them $100,000. We write it down. We're still in the paper-based money system, right or wrong? We're not charging interest. What if we reference the loan to a weight of gold? Brother, you want $100,000? How much weight is equivalent in gold? I will give you that gold, weight of equivalent in gold. You pay me the weight equivalent in gold back. I don't want $100,000. I want the gold back. That changes the entire balance because our reference point is gold, a price of gold. So if I give you a kilogram of gold and say, go and make your investment, in 5 years' time, give me back a kilogram of gold, have I charged you more or less? Is there oppression? Is there equal chance of risk or loss for both of us? You've used the equivalent of gold to go and make your investment. Now there's some practical difficulty that come. How can you turn gold into investment? You've got to buy the gold, you've got to sell the gold. But inshallah, there's means, there's ways we can get around it with technology, and inshallah, that's one of the things we want to discuss a bit later. But if we reference what we are doing in borrowing and lending to gold or silver, we will not go wrong. There is a means for us to go and do it. Everyone understand that concept? Stay away from investing in stocks that are heavily leveraged. Leverage means the entire company is funded by loans in order to run their business. It means 60 to 70% of the company is using loans to run their business. So the auditing and accounting standards for financial instruments, they say they permit 30% debt in a company and they'll sign it off as being okay. We've got about 2 minutes before we go. There's nothing that stops you from identifying stocks or investments that don't have any debt. And if you say all companies, all stocks don't all have debt, I say, brothers, do your research. There's at least 2 companies on the New Zealand Stock Exchange that don't have any debt. Have a look at it. Do your research. Don't allow an asset manager to go and invest your money in things that are laden with debt. And remember, if it's signed off by OFI, they accept 30%. And they are doing some reform, and when a question was posed to them, why you accept 30%, they said that was set about 10, 15 years ago. We are getting there to change it. We should go down. So beware. At the macro level now, before we break off for Maghrib, and then we'll come back and do the case study. Encourage the development of Muslim-owned and controlled food production supply chains. This is when the collective comes together. That we encourage ownership of the entire supply chain from farm gate to dinner plate. If we put our minds together and our investments together, we can invest for our ummah directly. Instead of having disparate investments sitting in different asset managers, we invest for our own ummah, our own communities. And it doesn't have to be large, it can be community-based. Asset management entities that solely focuses on permissible investments with sufficient oversight and governance. Housing projects. The Muslim Ummah can start building houses to rent. Your return is your rental. Who do you rent it to? People who can't afford a house.
In South Africa, there's a family. In South Africa, there's a family, very, very wealthy family, who have this broad vision, and they are doing great, great work in this regard. They've set up an entire, you can call it a Muslim village. It's in Limbro Park in Johannesburg, and it goes by the name of Qurtuba. Now they have a masjid, they have an online school, they have an on-site school, Muslim school, they've got housing projects, apartment projects, equestrian estates, heaps and heaps of things. We need to have that level of vision, and this is just one family.
If we are going to do all of these, where we have organizations doing this for the Ummah, we need a watchdog. An independent person who can go and regulate whether what they are saying they are doing is halal or not halal. We've got to have that watchdog facility. We need educational institutions for learning traditional and new skills. We need zakah organizations. How about this? A zakah organization that is only focused on only doing debt relief. Out of the 8 categories that are available for zakah, a zakah that's only focused on debt relief. That organization can be used to do wonderful things to make sure people educate themselves to get out of debt. But debt relief is very important. And if you donate halal money to organizations to get people out of debt, Allah will give you a tremendous reward. Gold and silver smiths. We need to be able to get to the situation where we have a market where you can go to a Muslim person to go buy and sell silver. Those souks are no longer available. You now have to go to institutional places to buy your gold and your silver. Now, number 8 is one of the things that may potentially be a solution. Develop a payment system that provides ability to do a digital transaction to record against real gold and real silver asset holdings. This payment system, which is backed up by gold and silver, means that when you're transacting, you are transacting digitally, you're making a payment, because we live in a society where payments are like this, but it means your holdings of gold go up or go down. That is one of the potential solutions. If anybody wants to have a venture capitalist or a Kickstarter or a startup, that is something where we need to be looking at. Encourage organizations to adopt payroll policies where the salary is pegged to the value of gold or silver. Imagine you go to your employer and say, I want you to pay me the equivalent of 2 kilograms of gold over the year divided by 12. It changes the system. If our Muslim organizations can accept that, imagine, then you're not getting paid in a Riba paper-based system. You're getting paid on the value of gold. Continue educating ourselves on the harms of Riba for the benefit of our next generation.
جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.